Valorant just released capsules for all 33 VCT teams, and in this video, I'll be ranking them from worst to best. Each bundle contains a classic skin, player card, gun body and spray, but I'll focus on the classic and card since the gun body and spray are just the team's logo every time. Throughout the video, I'm just using S through to D tier, but for reference, S tier are the ones I'd definitely buy, A tier I'd consider, B are decent, C tier aren't for me, but there's something to like there if you're a fan of the team, and then finally D tier I think should have been done better. This is of course all just my opinion though, and I'd love to hear how you guys would rank all of these capsules as well. Let's just try to keep it civil in the comments. Jumping right into it, we have the 100 Thieves capsule first. The color scheme for the skin itself is nice. You will notice there's a lot of black and red throughout all the teams though. This one I do particularly like out of those. The red muscle flash is a nice touch, and the play card is nice as well. It's pretty creative. That being said, I think I'll put them in C tier rather than B tier, just because I don't think I'd actually buy it. So yeah, C tier for 100 Thieves. Next up is BBL, and this one is almost the opposite of 100 Thieves, where I'm not as familiar with the team or the branding, but I really like what they've done with their capture of the play card. You can see right there, it's really cool. And then the classic is sick as well. It's gold, it's different to a lot of the other ones. I think they did pretty well here, so I'll put BBLs in the B tier. Next capsule is going to be Bleeds. Again, you can already see we've got another red and black here, and we're only 3 capsules in. This one's got a little bit more red going on than the 100 Thieves one. And then when it comes to the player card, I think I do prefer this one over 100 Thieves, because it really shows this idea of climbing up the mountain and beating out all the other teams, just like Bleed did in Ascension to make it into the Partner Leagues. So I'll put Bleed in the C tier as well, but above 100 Thieves. Next up is Cloud9, obviously pretty iconic team in esports. Their classic is really clean. It's one of the few ones that has a lighter approach to it, obviously with the white and a light blue being the main colors. And while the player card is relatively simple, it perfectly shows off the Cloud9 branding and everything. It still looks cool. So I reckon I'll put Cloud9 in the A tier. Next up is DFM, and their classic skin isn't too crazy. Most of it is black with just a hint of blue and white throughout. And then when it comes to their player card as well, there's just not too much going on here with their logo in the middle, which is cool and all. And it's just that like camo or like paint graphic going on in the background. At least that's what it looks like to me. But yeah, I'm not big on this one. I'll put DFM in the D tier. Next up is DRX, and it's sort of similar to Cloud9's, at least in the sense that it's a bit lighter. Personally though, I'm not a big fan of the shade of blue going on here. And I think that at least comparing the two classic skins, Cloud9's is better. Having said that, DRX's player card is pretty cool. I like the city with all the lights in the background. And I do still think this is a solid pickup out of all the capsules. So I'll put DRX in the B tier. EG is up next, and looking at their classic skin, I'm not massive on the colors. The green is a sort of nice touch though. And then looking at their play card, it's not the best, but it's not the worst either. There's at least some thought into it. You can see the 5 silhouettes there. Nothing crazy going on, so I think I'll put EG towards the bottom of the C tier. Next up is Fnatic, and their classic looks really good in game. The black and orange pops quite a lot. And then their player card is really cool as well. I think there's a few better ones out there, but this play card is still really good. So that in mind, I'll put Fnatic's capsule in the A tier. Next up is Furious, and then the team's branding is mostly just black and white, so you can see that in the classic there's no other colors going on. So I guess it is sort of nice to have just a strictly black and white one. But then when it comes to the play card, this is probably one of my favorites with the galaxy going on in the background. They have a clean black and white classic. The play card carries a lot. I think Fury goes towards the top of the C tier, almost B tier. You could probably make an argument for that, but I'll leave them there for now. Next is Foot's capsule. Once again, another black and red team. Then when it comes to the play card, I think there's some significance here to Turkey. I can at least recognize that icon in the top right. So I think it's cool they're giving some nods to that, but for me personally, this bundle isn't doing too much, so I'll put Foot in the C tier for now. Next up is G2, another victim of the black and red, but their player card does carry. This one I will outright say there's some bias going on here. I was a fan of the guard core for a while, and now they're on G2. So even though I put all the other black and red ones down in C tier, I'm just going to shamelessly put G2 in the S tier. Their player card is sick, the black and red still is cool, and I think this one is better than all the other black and red ones. Gen.G is next, and their classic I don't mind. I do wish the gold could have been just a bit brighter, but that is sort of their branding, they're just sticking with that. But then their player card is insane, probably top 5 player cards out of all of them for me. Just not quite as sold on the colors of the classic. So I'm going to put Gen.G at the top of the B tier, but it is pretty close into being A. Next up is Global Esports, and you can see their classic is another one of the lighter ones. Personally, I'm not big on their color scheme, but they have actually put some thought into the play card at least. So while I won't be getting it, I don't think it's too bad either. I'll put them in the C tier. Next up is Giant X. The play card isn't too bad, the blue's pretty simple. If you like blue, this would be a decent one to pick up, and I think the play card is cool, but there's better ones out there, so I'll put them in C tier as well. Then Carmine Corps is actually very similar to Giants. The blues are similar, and they both have the glowing white logo as well. However, I do think the play card is a little bit better for Carmine. They've got this mascot going on, so I'll put them right above Giants in the C tier. Next up is Koi, and I think the purple classic looks beautiful. It's the only purple one out of all of them, unless you include Paper X's, but that's a bit more pink to me. And then the play card is stunning as well, so honestly, I think I'm going to put Koi in S tier. I was thinking A earlier, but I think the purple classic and that play card are too good to give up on. Next we have Crew. The black and pink classic looks pretty nice, and the play card doesn't have too much crazy going on. The colors are all pretty nice though, so I'll put Crew towards the bottom of the B tier. Next up is Leviathan. They have another blue classic. So I think blue and then the red and black are the most common themes going on between the teams. But while the classic is just blue and pretty similar to the other blue ones we've seen so far, This play card is one of the best out of all of them. I can definitely see myself getting this one just purely based on the play card, so I'll put this towards the top of the A tier. Next up is Lad, and I think they have one of the better looking classic skins in game. Obviously it sort of just comes down to the fact that no other team has green and they stand out, but the black and green really does pop. The play card isn't anything crazy like some of the other ones, but they are embracing the community. Always cool to see, you can see their fans there. And yeah, I think it's one of the better classics, so I'll put Lad in the A tier. Next up is Gentlemates, and I honestly love their classic skin. It might be my favorite out of all of them. I just really love that green and pink combo going on. Then when it comes to the play card, it's decent as well, but I'm not as sold as some of the other ones. Even though I don't know if I'd use that play card much, I think I'll still put Gentlemates up in the S tier, because I do really like their classic skin. It's my favorite out of all of them. Actually, maybe not, maybe I like Koi more. It's up in S tier, with or next to Koi. I think Koi is better because they have a sick play card and classic skin, while Gentlemates just have a really cool classic skin. Next is Made in Brazil, and I didn't like their classic that much when I saw it initially, but it's honestly growing on me. And the play card is pretty cool as well. You have this kid on the PC, growing up into being this esports star, so I think this one's actually decent. I'll put Made in Brazil in the B tier. Next is Na'Vi, and their classic is almost what I wish Gen G's was. Obviously that's just not quite their color scheme, but Na'Vi's looks really cool in game. Then when it comes to the play card though, nothing groundbreaking going on. It's always cool seeing the 5 players standing there, but compared to some of the other ones we've seen, it's not too insane. I think I'll put Na'Vi towards the top of the C tier, maybe B tier, because the black and yellow is pretty nice. Next up is NRG, and this one is pretty similar to Furia. Obviously they're just 2 black and white teams. There's not much that can be done there. They're just similar. However, then the play card is pretty cool as well. So I'll put NRG right with Furia in the C tier. Next up is Paper Rex, and again, I think this is one of the better looking classic skins in the whole game. The purple and pink are really nice. And I do really like their play card as well with the dinosaur bones. So again, you've got this combo of really great classic, really great play card. I'm going to Paper Rex up in the S tier. Probably going to buy that one. Next up is RRQ, and I'm sort of let down by their player card. And the only redeeming thing here is just they have a nice color scheme. I won't dwell on this one for too long. The black and orange is nice, but the play card is not doing anything for me. Put them in the bottom of the C tier, saved by the orange. Next you have Sentinels, the most clouded team in Valorant obviously. In the classic it's okay, it's red, not much to be said there. But in their player card I think it's a little bit of a letdown, all things considered. Again, we compare it to what we've seen so far. There's some cool stories being told, some sick visuals, and we get to Sentinels one, and it's just some of their basic branding. Like honestly, I put Bleed and 100 Thieves in C tier with a decent player card and a black and red going on for their classic. So I'm just going to straight up put Sentinels in the D tier. I think they dropped the ball on the player card. Tier 1 is up next, and their classic skin actually looks pretty nice in game. I think opting for the white rather than the black like most of the other teams is a really good choice here. I'm going to group them as well with Bleed and 100 Thieves. I think the classic is the best out of these 3, and the player card is alright. Next we come to Heretics, and I'll be honest, I'm not big on this one. The colors don't have too much going on, it's all a bit dull. The play card is pretty simple, so I'm also going to put Heretics in the D tier. Next up is Team Liquids, and their classic to me just looks a little bit dull. I know I've been a bit harsh on some of the teams because I just don't like their colors, but again, that's just how I'm ranking them. Team Liquids play card is pretty cute though, so I'll leave them towards the top of the C tier where I think the play card is nice, but I just don't see myself using the classic that much. Next up is Talon, and they have one of the best play cards out of all of them. This one just looks great to me, and their classic skin is decent as well. They've changed their shade of red up so it's almost more pink, you can see there in game. Stands out amongst the rest. And I think the play card, again, one of the best, so I'm going to put Talon up towards the A tier. I'll put them above Lev even because I really like their play card. So yeah, Talon sitting there in the A tier. Team Secret is up next, and this classic skin is sort of similar to Heretics. The gold here is just a little bit brighter. And their play card's alright, with this penguin in the crowd cheering the team on. There's at least something going on there, so I put Team Secret towards the bottom of the C tier. Next up is Vitalities. Obviously it looks very similar to Na'Vi's, they have the same color scheme going on. However, I do think the play card here is cooler, so based on what we've seen so far, I'm just going to take Vitality and put them above Na'Vi. Very similar to classics, one has the better player card. Finally we come to Zeta, and with their player card, I don't know if they were maybe just going for a more minimalist design, what their plan was there, but it's just not working for me. We've had all these sick player cards, and we just get this one which doesn't live up to the hype for me. And the classic skin isn't too crazy either, there's nothing redeeming it there, so I'm going to put Zeta in the D tier. So that's how I rank all the different VTT team capsules in Valorant. I know to a degree it just came down to what colors I like, but what else can you rank them off in this case? They have the same effects, sounds, animations, everything, just basic. Yeah, I think some of the player cards are really cool like I said throughout the video, and looking at this list I've done, I think I'll definitely buy the S tier ones, maybe consider some of the A tier ones. You know, maybe jump on the bandwagon of one of these teams if they're doing really well throughout the season. But yeah, that's just how I rank them, and it's just my opinion. I love to know what you guys think as well, how you would change my list, where you rank different teams, what team capsules you guys are planning on buying as well. Hopefully you guys can keep it civil in the comments, but I doubt it.